Right, we're back, round two. Jimmy, what's your topic?
Going off E3, I wanted to talk about games that have that get the hype from their previous E3 trailers, gameplay, promises, and all that stuff. And when they come out, they don't live up to the mark, or their promises of being what was shown at E3. I wanted to kind of get your ideas on, since the E3 that we've just seen, do you think we'll have these problems of these new games coming out? And what do you think about not living up to the mark of what they're promising us? I've got a very good example of Aliens Colonial Marines, when they showed that at that E3, and it looked cool, and I was hoping so badly that it was going to be good. I did play it, and it was buggy as fuck, and it just was shit. And it got to the point where I think the company got sued for it. Because they did not. They overpromised. It's not what the fans were after, and there seems to be this curse that the Alien games just won't do that well.
They sort of showed. They said they were showing in-game footage, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
And
They even put it across the screen. Yeah, and it wasn't. And they had all these levels as well that looked cool, and they're created to show off the game, but they weren't even in the game. Yeah,
it's interesting that they do that. They call those vertical slices, where they just create a snippet, usually in-game. It's interesting that they didn't in that case. And they compile it together and throw it up there so you get a sense of the game, but it's usually something you'll never ever get to play. It's not actually part of the game. It's built just for showing it off.
How do you guys feel about this kind of, like, it seems like trickery, but I do get it in terms of, this is what we're aiming for, this is what you're going to get?
I feel it's trickery. I don't like it. Personally, I get pissed off because sometimes I see something in one of those vertical slices, I think, oh man, that looks awesome, and you play the game, you're like, hang on a minute, I didn't get to play that part. I wanted to do that, whatever that thing was where she fought that monster or whatever. That's not even in the frickin' game. I mean, you see it in movie trailers as well quite often. You see a trailer with stuff happening in the trailer and it's not even in the final movie. I hate it. I don't like it. I think it's false advertising, and it's not, because I'm getting invested in what they're trying to sell me, and then they don't even sell me what they tried to invest me in.
Yeah. Do you remember Dead Island? The trailer for that being a huge misrepresentation of what the actual game was. Oh yeah. Remember the video that was in reverse?
That's right.
Death, with the people running or whatever and all that.
That trailer almost broke the internet, didn't it? Yeah. I remember watching it. It was cool, but it wasn't gameplay though.
No.
Yeah,
but they never claimed
what it was showing you was this whole heartbreaking thing of a family and in the situation and what they would be like, and it's like, oh, so the game's going to be an emotional journey like The Last of Us. And it ends up being just another...
It's like a hack and slash.
Just a zombie romp. Yeah, it's still a fun game, but nowhere near what the trailer represented, which I think is wrong as well. Again, it's trickery.
Yeah. Did they release any other trailers, or was that the only one, and then they released the game?
From memory, it was the one that got everyone hooked.
Yeah. Well, either way, I guess
I don't think there was, because people were still really upset when it came out. So they mustn't have.
So they must have decided that a trailer like that was going to generate more hype and excitement, and as you said, it broke the internet or whatever, than if they'd shown one that was more true to the game. I disagree with that.
I've got two games in mind.
Yeah, I want to hear you guys' experiences whether there's something that you've been really excited for, and then it's come out and it hasn't lived up to your expectation.
Oh, okay, I'm thinking ahead of what was actually at E3.
Oh, right.
Two games in mind. I know could potentially disappoint us. Well, actually, I could think of three, actually. One would be Star Wars, the Battlefront game.
Yep. Yeah.
Because of the footage they showed us and how awesome it looks.
Yeah.
And there's just a part of you that's just saying, I really want it to be like this, but there's that logical part of me that's saying it can't. That's saying that it's not quite going to be that good.
I think it will be.
I hope so.
Because it looks like Battlefield 4, and it's the same engine. And that's what it looks like on PC.
There's just the fidelity of it, the smoothness.
Yeah, that's what it looks like on Battlefield 4.
The lighting.
Yeah.
The colour.
That's what it looks like on Battlefield 4.
It
does. Have you not played it?
No.
It's a really good looking game.
Claws must have the latest GPU.
But also, they're saying in those trailers as well, this come from actual in-game footage. And I remember in previous podcasts, we were saying, it won't look that good. It won't look that
Yeah.
good. And now with more trailers coming out, and I believe the beta's available as well, so people have been playing it.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
and they got but EA quickly stamped on them when they started to show record gameplay footage and put it on YouTube, and they banned them. They blocked their accounts.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because they'd stipulated that you cannot show
right.
or record
Okay.
any gameplay footage from the beta.
Oh wow.
So and that to me is kind of like, well, okay, why are you doing that? You know, what have we got to hide?
Probably just
Or-
from the
So
surprise.
Or is it just-
are you so does that
They
mean
just want to control their marketing.
yeah, but
yeah,
I don't know, if you're going to give it out for people to test, then you should be kind of prepared for all that kind of stuff.
yeah, exactly.
For recording and it's kind of freedom of speech as well.
Yeah.
But also, are you saying that these games have been hyped too much then?
I don't know if hyped too much, but like it definitely hyped too much if it's trickery.
Yeah. I don't think this year suffered too much from overhype.
I was going
I'd
to say, I don't think I really saw any real hype.
Yeah,
compared to last
the
E3.
only one that was it possibly could suffer, in my opinion, would be The Last Guardian because of just the length of time it took to get there,
Yeah.
and that game really, it
Yeah.
could fail quite easily just by just the over anticipation and expectation for the game.
There's created hype,
It's created,
and then
hype,
there's self-created hype, like
Yes.
Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
There's so much self-created hype around that because of what it means to people.
Yeah, Star Wars
Exactly.
falls in
Yeah,
that
yeah,
category.
that's true.
That
Star
could
Wars
fail.
hypes itself.
Because
Yeah.
I've done that before where I've hyped up a game and I know I have, and then I've played it and it's not what I've expected.
Yeah.
I definitely see that happening, and we talked about it in the previous podcast with Final Fantasy VII. I think it's going to divide fans because certain people are going to expect certain things. Especially if we're talking about the battle system for Final Fantasy VII,
Yeah.
whereas if it's going to be time-based or a completely new system. So that alone is going to divide people. Because people are going to like the old school version, but then again, it's remake, so some people are going to be expecting new
Something
things.
new, yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
that's
I
good.
Yeah,
I think
it's-
either way, I'd be happy with it, but I know
Yeah.
some people are going to be like,
You can't please everyone.
Yeah, can't please everyone. You mentioned 3 games.
oh, the other one was the Star Wars, the expansion that's coming to Knights of the Old Republic.
Knights and
yeah.
Fallen.
Yeah, and I mean, it's talking about a return to story-based, BioWare story-based, storytelling. Like you think of the first Knights of the Old Republic, how good those stories were. You turn out to be the bad guy and all that kind of stuff. Like that was awesome. So, I've just resubscribed. So I've just gotten back into it for the next 6 months. So I'll subscribe up until December, and it comes out in October, I think.
So you're helping to build your own self-hype.
Well, I am a little bit, but I've done it because I've bought into the fact that I want to play this expansion because it looks really cool. The trailer kind of sold me. I like the whole the setup and that, and I think, well, but then I'm just playing this MMO again. I'm just going around killing shit, and I'm just thinking, I don't know, like how good is this story going to be? And the gameplay can't change. It's what it is. Somehow that story is going to have to connect with that gameplay and still make the whole experience worth getting back into for. And that's what I'm worried about. Is maybe it's not going to live up to expectation because these nice little cutscenes and we'll do all this talking, but then it'll be like, okay, now I'm just killing some robots. I'm killing this guy. I'm killing this, and and it's just the same thing I've been doing all the other time through the game, but when I go to the cutscenes, it's like, oh, this is nice, and you know what I mean? Like it's not drastically going to change the game.
They won't. They can't. It's an MMO.
Yeah,
It's just going to be more story, so that it's going to have to be really good.
But there is a difference between expectation and developers themselves actually deliberately generating hype that's unfounded. Because we can be expecting Final Fantasy VII, and of course we're going to, as you say, that self-hype. But I think your question's more centered around the developers being a little bit sort of sneaky and tricky, or not really misrepresenting what it is they've actually got.
Or maybe even over-ambitious.
Yeah. Because even Watch Dogs was a bit like that.
Oh yeah, I wrote that down as well. Watch Dogs was a real big thing from its last E3 that I remember watching it and being blown away by its gameplay trailer. And then it came out, and it wasn't what I saw. Now, that pissed me off.
Yeah.
That ticked me off, and I think that almost, in some cases, drops the credibility of that developer as well. Like,
You can't trust them.
yeah, I can't trust you. You promised me this. It's not what I got. And I think even with the PC, they had it like locked off. of what they actually had like a little area where the E3 trailer, and you could unlock it to play that.
Yeah, most games will have a settings folder with like coded settings, and it was just chucked in there. E3 explosions, E3 lighting, and you could just put a 1 next to it and activate it.
Wow, okay.
Make it look better.
It still never looked as good as the trailer though.
But why would, if it makes the game look better, why do they not activate that setting?
Because it only looks good under certain situations.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it's not optimized to be done within the whole world.
Oh, so when they've got the camera doing a certain thing in a certain way
Yeah.
at a certain time of night in the game, it looks perfect, and we'll capture that for the trailer, and now we'll get rid of that setting.
I do like when the developers do, I guess, communicate with the community in terms like Witcher 3 was a good example. Like it was their gameplay trailer was better than what the game came out. But then they admitted it, saying, hey, this is a massive open world game. We had to make cuts in certain places. So they admitted, hey, this is what we were aiming for. A bit too ambitious for us, but just so for the general play and to like make things work well, it's been like scaled back a bit. Now, if game developers don't tell us that, which I felt what happened with Watch Dogs, then that ticks me off more, where I'm not too worried about Witcher 3, because if you play that game is massive, and I completely get it. I was like, okay, that's fine. I don't mind taking a hit in frame rate, graphics, whatever, because they communicated the idea, and it's still a good game.
Still looks good.
It still looks really good, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I think, in the future, how they got like this gameplay footage or whatever, they may have to say may not represent actual finished.
Sometimes they do that. Yeah. Or they'll say the game is still in development.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to think that they are all actually what you were saying, like aiming for
But maybe-
a broader, like bigger experience.
Yeah. But we've been around long enough now to know these things. Maybe it's just our naivety and our expectations when we look at these things. We know these things are never going to be as good as what they look like.
Well, that's what I wanted to kind of look at. Like it would be really cool if they showed a graphic trailer at something, and this is what they're aiming for, and then the game comes out and it's
even
better. Like, why can't we have something like that?
Yeah. Well, because then people would be like, "Oh, this doesn't look that good.
I'm not going to buy it." And everyone's like, "Man, the one person who bought it, you got to buy this game."
I don't believe you.
Yeah. But the next thing I wanted to go on were games that I wanted to do really well, and a lot of games, the games that have come out that people didn't really play. For example, do you guys know about Dust 514? No, it's kind of an Eve spin-off.
Oh yeah, you've shown me.
It's a Dust 514 is an Eve spin-off on PS3. It's a first-person shooter. So using the Eve universe, but first-person on PS3, it's free to play. And I gave that game a go because I was sick of Call of Duty. Battlefield 4 hadn't come out, and I wanted to play a massive open-scaled kind of first-person shooter game. Now that game was really cool, but really technical as well. And I wanted that game to do really well, and it was free. Just nobody wanted to play it. It didn't evolve, but also that's what it was. Battlefield 4 came out, and that was a better game. So it was with the Eve games, they last for years. So it wasn't a game that was evolving. It did have graphical enhancements and patches, and they added new weapons and stuff like that. But in terms of pure fun factor, you'd play something like Battlefield 4, and then another Call of Duty would come out, and then these games would just be thrown to the wayside. But they were free, and nobody wanted them.
Yeah.
So I wanted to kind of get your guys' ideas on games that you wanted to do really well,
But just
didn't.
So we're talking in terms of the people that actually ended up playing it, I guess.
Yeah. One for me that comes immediately to mind when you talk about that, because it's similar, is the multiplayer component of Splinter Cell Pandora Tomorrow and Splinter Cell Chaos Theory.
Yeah.
And because back at the time Xbox Live was new, there was hardly anyone on it, and I loved it. But unfortunately, you needed people to play against, obviously, and I couldn't always get people round to my house. And when you go online to play it, there was no one playing it because they were all playing Halo 2. And it was just the worst time for them to try and push forward this new multiplayer experience. And I still think it's one of the best multiplayer experiences you can have. In my opinion, I prefer that to the first-person shooter thing. And it died. And that was really shameful. And it only just came back recently with the Splinter Cell Blacklist. They finally brought back Spies vs. Mercs, which is what the gameplay was. And it was a success. It's like it's all about timing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's tricky, isn't it? Like with MMOs, it's the same thing. Like when I was playing Star Wars, it was great at the start, but then about 6 months into it, it just died. The user base just slipped away. And it suddenly I'm going around a planet, and you're used to having maybe 100 other people running around. Echo, like there's no one near, and I'm on this planet all by myself, and I'm like, I've got to do a quest that requires 3 other people.
Yeah.
And then you join the crew of people that departed.
Yeah. I mean, it's better now. It's actually got a big... What they did is they actually collapsed all the servers down because they had servers in Asia, servers in America, Europe. Yeah. Now it's all just...
They condensed it.
It's all down, and they had to do that, and now there's heaps of people, but we're all squeezed in these little boxes now so we can all play together.
Yeah, you're like this exclusive group of hardcore sort of fans of the game.
Yeah.
But do you think that, like, in a couple... Like, if you decided 10 years down the track, hey, I wanted to revisit this game, and then you go to play it, but there's no one on the servers?
Yeah.
No. Well, eventually it'll collapse,
just close down because
that
kind of annoys me in some way. But I do completely get it. Like Metal Gear 4 had an online component with it, which was really difficult, but I really enjoyed it because it was really hard to learn. But once you learnt it, you got pretty good at it. Basically, it was Metal Gear buttons all online. So if you've played Metal Gear, it's hold L1 and then hold R2 and then hold square to have your trigger, and that's to hold someone in a headlock while you're holding their gun up. So there was really difficult. It's not a game for everyone, but just because of learning its control buttons, it kind of dropped off. Again, things like Call of Duty and all that stuff, people were playing those. Yeah. So they shut down the servers, and I had no idea about it. So when I decided that I wanted to replay it, and then it's no longer available.
Yeah, and then now it's gone forever. Because I did the same.
But I can't even give it a go anymore. Like, I'd really like to give that a shot again, but it's completely closed
and there's
down.
no way you can. That's why I prefer games that have like bots and things. So at least, just for nostalgia's sake, you can jump back in and have a little tutu,
Yeah, there's a couple of games like that, where they've obviously shut down the servers, but then fans have put the money in and actually opened up their own private server for people to still play.
People do that on PC all the time.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
I was trying to think, like Jedi Knight was one of those, like the old school...
You can go and play Jedi Knight Outcast and there's people still playing it on online servers.
Yeah.
And that's like a game from like 2000.
2000.
Yeah, it's fucking old. People still play it. Like,
that's cool.
The original Halo Combat Evolved port for PC, people still play that online. And people still play Diablo 2 online, Battle.net. They've still got Battle.net servers for Diablo 2. People still play it.
Because Blizzard's still running that.
Yeah, Blizzard still runs it.
It's cool.
Halo 2 only just shut down their servers not so long ago.
Yeah.
That lasted for quite a while.
97.
But is that because the Master Chief Edition is now out?
Yeah, that's true. They don't, and they want everyone to come and play it here instead. Better graphics, same stuff but better graphics. That's interesting that people still want to play those older games, eh? Like, I just don't get it.
What?
No, I mean religiously, like, because those MMOs are quite an investment, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like, if the game was 15 years old, I mean, how long have you been playing it? Do you still need to play this?
Well, not even that. Like, say if you played it at the time and you'd like level 100 yourself or max yourself out, and then just thought, hey, I'd like to give that a go with your character and all that stuff, and just to kind of remember why you're into that game and
jump back in for just a little while.
Because you spent so much time on it before, and then maybe 5 years down the track you decided to want to play it again.
I'm just thinking about building a dedicated server, like the money that would take to be able to do that just to play a game from 15 years ago. I was like, really? Is there not a game you could just buy now that's similar and gives you those same sorts of experiences?
Yeah, but you imagine if it had been like that back in the day, like you wanted to go back and play Sonic the Hedgehog, and that was a requirement.
Yeah.
There are certain things you don't mind going back to. having a crack at it again. But I guess those experiences you realise only have a certain shelf life.
Do you remember Sonic 3 when we hired that out up the road and then we took it back? That's a classic game that did not live up to our expectations. We loved Sonic. We played all Sonics on the Master System, on the Mega Drive, and Sega, Part 1 and Part 2. And then Part 3 came out. We ran up the road. We got to play it together. Come back down. Literally played like the first level, and we're like, this is shit. We took it back.
Isn't that hype from yourself though? Because you wouldn't have got a trailer of the new
No, definitely. Definitely.
Sonic 3 that's come out.
We were just little.
We were like expected it to be good because you played 1 and 2.
Yeah, just 8 or 9 year old boys excited for our next Sonic experience.
Yeah. But yeah, that's that.
That's that.
That's that for me.
Yeah, that's a good topic. It's
Yeah. Oh, it's one that people definitely get their teeth into, eh? It's something that everyone kind of goes, fuck.
Yeah.
I just wanted that game to be good.
And then
Or
it's not.
even work.
Yeah.
I just wanted it to work.
Yeah. Oh, it's a lot of, there's more disappointment sometimes than successes, isn't there, when it comes to the video game industry?
And it goes to show that you're best off just not having any expectation at all, eh? If you can somehow manage to just have blinders on and not know about
that's
something.
That's what I do. I zone out of it. And
Well, that's a good thing. Do you guys follow something religiously and or if there's a game that you want to play and you just like, no, I'm not going to watch anything. I want to be surprised.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. I did that with The Witcher 3 as much as I could.
I'm doing that with Halo. That's why I didn't have much to say on Halo when we're doing the E3 stuff, because I'm pretty hyped for Halo 5. But I've been trying to ignore it and avoid it and not really think about it because I just want to go into that world and experience it.
Do you remember when Batman, the first one, the Arkham Asylum one, came out? That was a classic example of like, I looked at it and went, this is going to be shit. I actually thought that because I thought every other Batman game, all these superhero games are usually rubbish. Next minute, I started playing it and I couldn't believe how good it was. And I'm sort of sitting there just very sceptical going, yeah, okay, yeah. Fuck, this is pretty good actually. And you're waiting for the wheel to fall off.
Yeah.
But it doesn't. And next minute,
And you just keep getting surprised.
yeah, next minute you're just like, the holy hell! And I was sucked in hard.
Yeah.
But that was because that game wasn't on your radar and you expected it not to be good. But it was better.
Yeah,
because-
that is cool. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm hoping for something like that to happen again. You know,
Yeah.
just you don't even think about it, and it just totally surprises you. That's
Yeah.
cool.
That's probably one of the best examples of it because it was the exact same for me. The same game, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why. It just
It's because traditionally Batman games have been shit.
yeah.
I think that's
it
why.
was kind of just this big leap forward, but it was very
Stinky doggy.
unique in its gameplay when it came out. There was nothing else like it
I
with
mean,
that,
all the
with
time.
that counter combo system and
That was very new at the time.
storytelling
Yeah.
and just and even the graphic fidelity of it was really nice. It was a nice game to look at and very cinematic.
And the Joker's a cool
It was very
villain.
atmospheric. It was a good game.
Mark Hamill's Joker was freaking sweet.
Oh yeah, the voice work was fantastic.
On the flip side, I overhyped myself for Metal Gear 2, Sons of Liberty. Now, I was hyped for the game, but also they had a very lengthy demo that came out, and the demo was awesome. It was pretty much everything in the game in this demo, and the demo was pretty much the intro bit with Snake on the boat.
Oh yeah.
And I hyped myself in. I was like, yes, we're going to follow Snake's story. And then they flipped itself off, and then you were playing for the rest of the game as Raiden.
Yeah.
And that was a bit of a disappointment. I know and see why they did it. And I still really enjoy the game, but I completely overhyped it for myself.
Yeah.
I wanted Metal Gear 3 to be the sequel,
Yeah.
to be a Metal Gear 2, because it was so good.
Yeah. That was the same for me. I had that same hype and disappointment when I became Raiden. Yeah.
I kept expecting halfway through to go back to Snake.
Yeah.
I thought it was like, oh, it's okay. You'll play as Raiden, and then you'll play back as Snake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It maybe flick back and forth a little bit. Yeah.
I still don't know why they didn't actually just release another game or do something where you could actually play out his storyline in the plant while Raiden was running around and just reverse the whole thing.
That's actually, yeah,
You know,
why
because he
didn't
did
they?
all
They-
this stuff.
They did like a special edition where you could play as Snake, but it wasn't official. Like it didn't have cutscenes. It was kind of like
Oh.
Snake had just done this, and they did these kind of VR mission style ones.
Oh, that's right. I do.
Oh,
remember
Subsistence. That's what it's
Yeah.
called. But it was pretty cool. It was basically a whole bunch of DLC, really, when DLC wasn't a thing. But
Yeah,
it just
yeah.
like this massive content in this game.
that.
But it wasn't really official. Like,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
All right. Well, on that note, that was a good topic. So we'll be back again with another couple of topics. So yeah, again tomorrow and the next day. I don't even know what day this will come out, so I'm not going to say the day. So anyway, check us out 4NZGamers on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, anywhere else.